In today's episode, Lexie Hull exposes Aja Wilson's screens, Aaliyah Boston's whistle disparity, Becky Hammond's spin. Liz Kimbage urges Angel Reese, Sophie Cunningham, Nafisa Collier to monetize femininity, salaries aside, hinting OnlyFans. Aja Wilson blames Caitlin Clark as Vegas Mercury Finals sputter. Tickets for $6 embarrass Engelbert.
Only Aja Wilson could get away with this. Look at this. And ESPN called this a highlight. You could clearly see both feet come off the ground and land again. That's illegal. And let's check this out. A double dribble. She spins, touches it with two hands. Like, this is first grade stuff. The refs, of course they miss it because it's Aja Wilson. She's dribbling, touches it with two hands on the spin move, gathers it, and passes to a teammate. And watch this at travel. That's her pivot foot. Like, this is some Angel Reese type stuff. Like, 3 in one game? That's
Did the referees decide the series, or did the series decide the referees? Here's the part you can't ignore, because the numbers refuse to lie, even when whistles do. Across 5 games, Aja Wilson strolled to the free throw line 26 times. Aaliyah Boston, the interior anchor absorbing contact all night, got 17. And if you remove the intentional fouling circus at the end of Game 4, where Vegas dragged out the clock, Boston's total shrivels into something indefensible. Now rewind farther. Game 1 and Game 2. Boston took 0 free throws. 0. The ball flowed through her on almost every possession. She battled on every post touch. And still, silence. Meanwhile, Wilson gathered charity points off bumps that looked like grazes on replay. Fans noticed. That's your headline stat. But it's only the start of the story. Layer in the fouls. Over the 5-game set, Boston was whistled for 19. Wilson, 14. And here's where it stops passing the smell test. Boston guarded Wilson straight up on most trips, chest to chest, hands high, moving her feet. Wilson frequently got switches onto smaller guards to preserve energy. Yet somehow the defender taking the hard assignment ended with more fouls. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. Now take a breath and look at what happened off the ball, because that's where the game quietly tilted. Rewatch the film, and the moving screens jump off the screen like neon signs. Hip checks at the last split second. Shuffled feet that never got reset. 2 steps forward, lean the shoulder. Free Jackie Young or Chelsea Gray, bucket. Fans and analysts say they counted 37 uncalled moving screens from Wilson across the series. 37. That tally comes from online clip compilations, so call it unverified. But it kept showing up in breakdown after breakdown. At the same time, Boston could barely set a textbook pick without catching a whistle. Tell me how that's balanced. Let me paint the exact moments that flipped Game 5. 3rd quarter, 4-point game. Fever running a clean half-court action. Boston sets a screen at the top, feet rooted, shoulders square. Whistle. Offensive foul. Moving screen, they said. The replay told a different story. No lean, no slide, no advantage created beyond what the rulebook allows. The possession evaporated, and with it, the Fever's rhythm. Offense is timing, offense is trust. You rip that out, momentum vanishes. Then came the theater. Boston backed down in the paint, turned into her move, and Megan Gustafson launched backward like she hit an invisible trampoline. Slow motion showed incidental contact, not even close to the kind of displacement that earns a foul in the postseason. Still, the whistle hit Boston again. That was her 3rd. You could feel it on the broadcast, the tightening, the second guessing. The way a player starts guarding themselves more than their opponent. It changes everything. It was a flop, and everyone knows it. The final twist cut deepest. Late in regulation, tie game, 20-something seconds left. Boston boxed out under the rim, textbook position, elbows wide but legal, eyes on the ball. Jackie Young nudged through, stumbled, and somehow Boston got tagged with number 6. Disqualified. One of the best defenders on the floor sent to the bench at the moment her team needed her most. The arena didn't explode. It deflated. The Fever's defensive backbone was gone, and Vegas walked through the door. We could stop there, but it gets worse in the margins. That overtime possession, the one that led to a dagger 3, came off a moving screen right in front of the officials. Hip out, feet sliding, clear space for the shooter. Splash. No whistle. Flip the jersey, and it's called in a heartbeat. Those moments don't just create points. They warp strategy. Coaches are forced into early rotations. Bigs play timid to avoid fouls. Guards stop attacking because charges turn into blocks, depending on which direction the wind blows. You feel it shift possession by possession. Here's the double hit that explains the outrage. 1. Free throws and fouls favored the star who already had the lighter defensive load. 2. The toughest assignment on the floor still paid the price on the stat sheet. That's how narratives get protected. That's how integrity erodes. And this isn't just fan talk. The Fever staff said the quiet part out loud. Head coach Christy Sides called Aaliyah Boston the worst officiated post player in the league and begged for consistency both ways. She wasn't asking for a special whistle. She was asking for the same whistle. It's the oldest principle in sports. If you're going to let it be physical for both. If you're calling holds and chucks, call them both ways. That's not radical. That's basketball. Even the press conference gamesmanship felt calculated. After Game 4, we heard the interesting foul counts chatter. We saw the frustration, and whether by design or not, it planted a seed. It said that some comments were meant to work the officials ahead of Game 5. Rumors are circulating that the "we're being targeted" act was strategy, not emotion. We cannot prove intent, but look at the swing and whistles down the stretch, and tell me it had no effect. The last 2 minutes turned into a free throw parade for Las Vegas. It felt less like basketball and more like theater. Let's talk Lexie Hull, because she carried the bruises and still stood tall. She said it herself. The series was relentlessly physical. She found herself on the floor again and again, ran into screens that moved at the last moment, felt elbows on cuts that never got flagged. And still, she defended, spaced, and battled. That matters, because it strips away the lazy excuse. This isn't about a team dodging contact or lacking toughness. It's about a team owning the fight and being denied a fair call of it. And if you're wondering whether fans are just angry in the moment, look at the unfolding trend lines. Social media flooded with frame-by-frame edits, slow-motion clips, and side-by-side breakdowns comparing Boston's legal screens to Wilson's hip twists. Independent analysts circled the same plays and reached the same conclusions. When online communities, film junkies, and retired players all point to the same missed mechanics, you've got a credibility issue. Not a one-off, a trend. The real meaning of all this isn't that every whistle was wrong. Officiating is hard. Postseason speed is brutal. It's that consistency collapses when the league's marquee narratives are at stake. And once that suspicion lands, you cannot sell fairness. Star treatment might juice storylines short term, but it rots trust. Fans can live with missed calls. They cannot live with selective enforcement. The game becomes a script. Nobody wants sports that feel scripted. So what's the impact beyond a single series? Momentum dies. Players question what they're allowed to do, not what they can do. A defender like Boston learns the cost of physicality is different depending on the logo on the other jersey. A cutter like Lexie Hull discovers a moving pick isn't illegal if the camera loves the blocker. That's how you turn creative basketball into risk-averse survival. And eventually, fans tune out. Not because they hate defense, because they hate doubt. Here's a quick mini-story that shows the human side. Huddle in the fourth. Steph Dolson, calming voices. We're built for this. Kelsey Mitchell down, challenges flying, calls falling the other way. They stay together. That's identity. That's a locker room that can grow into a contender. But identity cannot overcome imbalanced whistles forever. You need rules that apply to everyone. You want a solution, W. Start with transparency. Publish detailed officiating reviews the morning after every playoff game. Admit misses. Explain interpretations. Invite accountability. The NBA's last 2-minute report isn't perfect, but it's a start. Then train screen mechanics with the same intensity you train shooting. Illegal picks are not technicalities. They decide games. Fix the standard. Protect the game, not the narrative. Because here's the bottom line. Aaliyah Boston didn't lose her composure. She lost minutes to whistles that did not match the film. Lexie Hull didn't fold. She absorbed contact that magically disappeared for cameras and stripes. And Aja Wilson, brilliant scorer and two-way star, benefited from a whistle that too often felt tailor-made. That's the story. Not hatred, not jealousy, consistency. Fairness isn't complicated. Apply the rulebook and live with the result. Do that, and this matchup becomes the classic it should have been. Ignore it, and you keep hearing the same chant from the stands and the timelines. Protect the integrity, or you lose the audience. Your move, league. And while we're here, if you've got receipts, drop your timestamps in the comments and make sure you're subscribed, because we're breaking down every angle they won't.
Porters, well, my goodness. This might not be the most family-friendly topic that I've ever had on this channel, let me assure you of that. But it's very interesting. In light of all the CBA talk, the players getting paid, etc., we have an ex-WNBA star that has come out and said, these ladies need to expand their horizons. Let's put it that way. If they want to make some real money. Like, how about OnlyFans? Seriously. Liz Cambage has come out and...
When your paycheck lags your platform, do you monetize your image or your game? Here's the headline everyone pretended not to hear. Liz Cambage stepped away from the Sparks in 2022, joined OnlyFans, and says she made more there than she ever did hooping. She told TMZ Sports it is not hard to make more money doing anything, and urged current WNBA players to get extra income however they can. That was not a whisper. That was a flare in the sky. Meanwhile, rookie deals still hover in the mid-$70,000 range, while top endorsements dwarf salaries for stars like Caitlin Clark by reported 7 figures. So when Liz says, "Get it how you can," she is not wrong about the math. The money gap is exposed. And she did not stop there. Just be you. Lean into yourself. Be feminine if that is your lane. She even joked about the mink coat. It landed like a dare, aimed at Angel Reese, Sophie Cunningham, and Nafisa Collier, who's been leading salary conversations while also building her own new league. The message felt simple. The market will reward authenticity. The question is which market you really want. Here is where it gets uncomfortable, because the real story is not OnlyFans. It is identity. The league has spent years selling empowerment, sisterhood, and grit, while often burying anything that feels too glamorous, too feminine, or too outside the team brand. Then Caitlin Clark detonated every metric, packed arenas with families, and brought kids back into the conversation. Now the optics matter. A lot. Parents weigh role models while sponsors weigh headlines. And Cambage's advice, even if pragmatic, slices straight into that tension. You can monetize your personality without crossing that line, or you can cross it and chase faster money. But the cost might be your ceiling. Choose carefully. This part is simple. Brand risk is real. Let's stack a double fact. First, base salary for rookies like Clark sat in the mid-70,000s this season, while max deals for veterans topped out in the low six figures. Second, endorsement money for the right star can blow past all that. Clark's deals with Nike and others reportedly land in the seven-figure territory without needing to step anywhere near adult platforms. So the money is not only on one side of the fence, it is on the side of scale. And scale comes from mainstream trust. Here is a mini story about what works without setting fire to the fan base. Sophie Cunningham, relentlessly professional, camera ready, and flat-out market savvy, built her following by leaning into style, humor, and hustle. She sells the full package, not a subscription. You see the lashes, the smile, then the chase down three and the grit. That balance prints money for years. Fans want aspirational and accessible. Sponsors want safe and sticky. That Venn diagram is where real power lives. It is not boring. It is strategic. Keep it classy. Now the real meaning behind Kambaja's blast. She exposed a truth the league has dodged for years. The WNBA has never figured out how to package beauty, swagger, and elite basketball in a way that feels natural and unified across teams. They overcorrected into safe corporate and scolded anything that read as too glam or too edgy, unless you were already a top 5 name. That creates mixed signals for players desperate to monetize. The creator economy does not wait for committees. It rewards speed, storytelling, and authenticity, and it punishes bland. Athletes are not just athletes anymore. They are media companies. You either equip them, or you watch them find their own roads. That clock is already ticking. This is where we need to talk trends, because this moment is bigger than a TMZ clip. NIL turned college athletes into brands. Short-form video built empires overnight. Personality now drives discovery as much as highlights, and women's sports are finally rolling downhill with momentum. Media rights are rising. Attendance can spike when the story sparks. The opportunity is real, and it does not require an adult platform. Content is a currency. Storytelling compounds. So what's the impact if players follow Liz's path literally? Short-term money, sure. Long-term friction, definitely. Sponsors with family campaigns step back. Kids' clinics get awkward. Broadcast partners get jumpy. Locker rooms argue about culture and distraction, while everybody says it is fine. It is never fine. You do not fix a revenue problem by shrinking your addressable audience. You fix it by widening your funnel and deepening engagement. That is the business. The league should be building creative pipelines, not forcing players to choose between visibility and values. There is another consequence nobody wants to say out loud. If the league's most marketable faces migrate away from mainstream brands and into adult spaces, the narrative around women's basketball shifts in a way that undermines everything the players fought for. The purity of the hoop dream, work, craft, excellence, gets eclipsed by the cheap dopamine hit of subscription headlines. That trade-off is brutal. It is also avoidable. So what is the better play? Own the creator lane without burning goodwill. Launch official content studios in every market. Give players weekly slots to host behind-the-scenes shows, lifestyle features, and film breakdowns on the league's channels with revenue shares hard-coded. Build fashion tunnels that rival the NBA's, then package the best looks into shoppable drops. Partner with beauty, wellness, and tech brands for athlete-led series. Fund off-season tours where stars run elite skills camps and content meetups in 10 cities. Give fans access, give families reasons to show up. Put structure behind personality so players can monetize without detonating their careers. That is how you scale. The league must invest. And to be fair, Cambage was not wrong about the core pain. The salary floor stings, especially below the top tier. Players are adults. bills are real. She did what the market allowed. The shock is how quickly the suggestion became a referendum on femininity itself. That argument misses the point. Femininity is not the problem. The platform is. There are 1,000 ways to be feminine, powerful, and paid without crossing into adult content. The choice is not glam versus grit. It is alignment versus chaos. Listen to the fan base that actually showed up this year. They want stars who are magnetic and competitive, who own their look but respect the moment, who speak to kids and center the game. They cheered Caitlin Clark because she felt accessible and unstoppable. They embraced Aaliyah Boston because she radiates joy and toughness. They vibe with Sophie Cunningham because she is market smart and fearless. The blueprint is in front of the league. Do not overthink it. Celebrate the full identity. Keep the product clean enough for families. Make the basketball undeniable. Everyone wins. Here's the line in the sand. Quick money fades. Legacy compounds. And do not forget the CBA reality check looming over all of this. Players will ask for higher salaries, better travel, and bigger revenue shares. Owners will pull up ticket maps and sponsorship decks. If the finals struggle to sell at bargain prices, the leverage game turns ugly. The answer cannot be, send players to adult platforms to fill the gap. The answer is, fix the marketing engine, secure the officiating, and spotlight stars fans already love. Do the work, build the value, then slam the table for the raise with receipts the room respects. One more mini story for the road. Imagine Angel Reese running a weekly style series where she breaks down game day fits, community work, and skill segments, then partners with a beauty brand for a limited collection that funds a summer clinic tour. Imagine Nafisa Collier fronting a docuseries on building her new league, while the W helps distribute it to new audiences. Imagine a Sophie Cunningham home and away vlog that becomes appointment viewing. Now multiply it by 20 teams. That is how you move the needle. That is how you create safe, sustainable money for everyone. So yes, Liz Cambodge revealed a very real pressure, and she exposed a massive gap in the league's monetization strategy. But the fix is not shock value side hustles. It is structure, scale, and smarter storytelling. You do not win trust with shortcuts. You win it with consistency and craft. Where do you draw the line as a fan? Endorsements, lifestyle content, or never only fans? Tell me in the comments. Then tap subscribe so we can keep this conversation honest and loud.
The WNBA Finals will debut. The Las Vegas Aces versus the Phoenix Mercury. And I'm telling you right now, this is probably going to be one of the lowest rated WNBA Finals in Almighty.
Finals tickets cheaper than a burger. Where did the hype go? Start with the sticker shock that embarrassed the league. Reports and screenshots showed get-in prices in Las Vegas dropping to single digits, as low as $6 for a WNBA Finals game. Lower bowl seats hovered around $25. Courtside slid under $500. And still, according to seating maps, whole sections stayed blue for Game 1 and Game 2. In Vegas, the entertainment capital that sells out everything from boxing to bubble shows. Now put that next to June. When Caitlin Clark came through, those same buildings turned into bidding wars. Courtside cracked 2,000. Even behind the basket seats hit the mid-hundreds overnight. That is the before and after nobody at league office wants to frame. One series, floodlights. The next, a flicker. The headline said record viewership and historic interest all season. The camera panned across empty rows in the finals. That is your double fact. Hype versus head count. And this part stings. Rumors are circulating that Aja Wilson pointed at Caitlin Clark and Fever fans for the no-shows. We have not seen a direct clip confirming that. But the chatter spread fast and loud. Fans did not love it. They are not obligated to watch your finals if they felt their team got shoved out with whistles. Their words, not mine. Screenshots of the maps told their own story. rows and rows of unsold dots. You cannot spin dots. Dots are receipts. It felt like a clearance aisle for the supposed biggest event of the year. That is brutal. So what is the real meaning behind all those empty seats? Simple. The engine was the Clark effect, not an organic league-wide surge. When Caitlin plays, families show up, casuals lean in, and every game turns into an event. When she is not there, the casual heartbeat fades, unless there is a storyline bigger than the box score. This finals did not deliver that. No true villain, no simmering rivalry, no made-for-television grudge, just good basketball served plain. And then came the officiating fallout from the Aces Fever series. Fans felt burned. They saw late whistles, phantom calls, and the disqualification that pulled Aaliyah Boston off the floor in the clutch. They decided with their wallets. That is not apathy. That is protest. This is not a Vegas problem. Stop pretending it is. This city sells spectacle in its sleep. It sells fights, races, and spectacles. You cannot even explain to your friends from back home. If Vegas cannot move cheap tickets, you do not have a city issue. You have a product issue. The optics have been rough for weeks. A semi-final clouded by controversy. A finals without the star who lifted every metric. A narrative vacuum that sucked the energy out of the building. Meanwhile, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert kept touring microphones to celebrate momentum. Fans looked around and asked, "Momentum where?" They saw $6 tickets for a championship and still empty. That disconnect crushes trust. Here is a quick mini-story from a fan who messaged our page. He jumped onto a ticket site an hour before tip. Upper level was cheaper than a movie. Lower bowl was cheaper than a hoodie. He scrolled the map and saw more blue than red. He closed the tab and streamed highlights later. That is the behavior you never want to trigger. Once people realize they do not need to be there, they stop trying to be there. Attention once lost is expensive to buy back. Protect it. Let me load you a double fact that points to fragility. First, June and July attendance spikes tracked directly to Caitlin's road schedule, with host teams posting season highs on those dates according to multiple reports. Second, when the playoffs removed her from the bracket, ticket prices cratered in a hurry, and the sell-through stalled. That is not random. That is star dependency. The NBA learned to weaponize this decades ago. Rivalries, trilogies, player arcs. The league sold who more than what. The W cannot skip that step. Star power is the currency of casual attention. Protect your currency. There's also the officiating hangover. Fans kept posting freeze frames of illegal screens, late whistles, and elbow contact that never got called. They slowed the tape and did the league's job. That killed goodwill heading into the finals. People do not want to feel like extras in a script they did not write. If a sizable chunk of your audience believes outcomes are managed, they disengage emotionally and financially. Perception becomes reality. That is how trust dies. Now for the impact no one can dodge. The Players Association is preparing for CBA talks. They want better pay, travel, and shares. They deserve serious negotiations. But owners are already arming themselves with screenshots of those ticket maps. They will say, "Your best year ends with bargain basement seats. Why should we increase fixed costs?" That argument is coming. Sponsors will do their own math. Empty seats on national TV tell brand managers to wait, and broadcasters cannot hide those visuals. Cameras cut to the bench and capture rows of empties behind the huddle. That drains the show of juice. It flattens the product in the living room. Energy is contagious. So is silence. This hurts players who did nothing wrong. Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, all hooping, all elite, all paying the price of a narrative the league failed to build. Aja Wilson's numbers still sparkle, but sparkle without audience is a mirror in a dark room. That is not shade. That is logistics. Caitlin's halo proved the ceiling. The finals proved the floor. The gap is the league's homework. Can it be fixed quickly? Yes, if they stop pretending a press release equals progress. Start with officiating transparency. Publish full postseason breakdowns with accountability and retraining. Make fans feel the game is fair again. Then feed storylines like Oxygen, Rivalry Week in prime slots, mic'd segments that actually disclose personality, real access, not scripted features nobody shares. Market Aaliyah Boston's joy and power. Spotlight Angel Reese's swagger and work ethic. Elevate Sabrina Ionescu's shooting theater. And if you want the casuals back, you will need Caitlin Clark front and center, not as a problem, but as the engine you build around. Embrace the obvious. It is not weakness, it is strategy. And fix the in-arena experience. Bundle tickets with meet and greets, kid clinics, and player-led Q&As. Price is not the only lever. Value is. Give families a reason to spend the evening beyond the scoreboard. Community converts casuals into regulars. Regulars convert into lifers. That is how leagues grow. One sentence for anyone still doubting the stakes. No Clark, no crowd. But do not twist it. This is not about crowning one player and dismissing the rest. This is about acknowledging the magnet that brought new eyes to the sport, then building enough compelling stories that those eyes stay when she sits. Stars open the door. Great leagues build the house. The biggest lesson from this finals is not that tickets were cheap. It is that the league cannot coast on borrowed momentum. You cannot mistreat the audience that came for a star, dismiss their concerns about fairness, and then expect them to buy seats on command. Respect is a loop. Break it, and the loop breaks you. This week should be a wake-up, not a whimper. If the WNBA wants the next CBA to reflect its potential, if it wants sponsors to double down, if it wants families to plan their nights around broadcasts, it needs honesty and urgency. Tell the truth about attendance. Fix the officiating. Build the stories. Put your stars on every platform possible. Then sell the finals like it matters to you, before asking fans to prove it matters to them. Would you buy a final seat for burger money, or skip on principle after the semis mess? Tell me in the comments and tap subscribe, so your voice actually reshapes the conversation they keep ignoring.